Okay, the case that came down was U.S. versus Windsor. And basically what that case was, there was a two-woman couple who was married in somewhere in Canada. And New York had a law that said that they would recognize Canadian marriages, same-sex marriages. They came back, one of them got sick and died, and the person who's died's estate had a significant estate tax, which would have been zero had they been married. And even though they were married, even though New York recognized their marriage, under DOMA, which is the Defense of Marriage Act, basically the federal government says we don't care what the states say for federal income tax purposes, for federal estate tax purposes, for Social Security purposes, we're not going to recognize a same-sex marriage. And that was what the law is. Bill Clinton says that that was his biggest mistake. He might be right about that. He's made a few others too. But anyway, Windsor came down and they said, wait, for the purposes of estate taxation, we are going to say, not only are we going to allow same-sex marriages to be recognized, but this is what's very big for everybody here, we are going to recognize this in the state of celebration, not the state of residence, which means you can get married in New York or any state that does recognize same-sex marriage, move back to a state that does not, and for then, federal estate tax purposes, you were going to be considered married. Now, right now, there's right at this moment, it's 5.25. It's going to go up to like 5.4 or something like that, federal exemption amount. So most of us are not going to have a federal estate tax problem. But what was really good, and I was delighted when this happened, the IRS came in and they issued a revenue ruling and they said, we're going to do the same thing for income taxes. And that was a happy day. And Karen Mathias in my office said, I can't believe that they didn't put that on the front page. Why isn't everybody talking about it? Because what that's going to mean is that you can go see, I wasn't all that excited about federal estate tax because frankly, I spend the vast majority of my tax planning trying to reduce income taxes because most of my clients don't have more than $5 million. So I'm always working on the income tax side, the Roth IRA conversion, the Social Security, income. But the IRS came out and said, hey, for income tax purposes, we will recognize the state of celebration, not the state of residency, which was the only sane thing to do because otherwise it would be a blinking mess. Nobody would know how to file their tax return and it would just have been horrible. So administratively, even, I don't know if the IRS had any, if they cared about, the love and affection and all the kind of reasons why Evan Wolfson wants people to have the right to marry, but just administratively it was much easier. When I saw that, I said, now we have an opportunity. We have a real opportunity to save money. Now maybe we can't save you $1 million like we did save that one couple, but for a lot of people who have same-sex partners, the possibility of going outside the state that does not recognize same-sex marriage like Pennsylvania, going to a state that does, getting married there, and then coming back should really at least be considered if you're anywhere near a long-term committed relationship. So basically what that revenue ruling said is that spouse and marriage, if it's lawfully performed in a state that recognizes same-sex marriage, will be recognized in state of residence, not just state of celebration. And that, it sounds like it's kind of a subtle thing, but it's a very, very big deal. All right? And now, for federal income tax purposes, you can go get married. Now, you have to get married in a state that recognizes same-sex marriage. So at least right now, you can't get married in Pennsylvania or 35 other states and have that be recognized. You still have to go out of state. Now, of course, Evan Wolfson and many people that support his cause, as I do, would like that Pennsylvania law and the other 35 states to change, but that's not where we are right now. This ruling that says we're going to recognize state of celebration, not just state of residence, is really critical for IRAs. We're going to talk about that. Now, here is what is potentially even more important than the IRAs, is Social Security. As of this moment, all right, Social Security has not come out and said we're going to use the state of celebration. They're still using state of residence. I am fervently hoping, and I do believe it is only a matter of time, that that will be changed at the federal level, so no matter what Pennsylvania does, they're going to recognize same-sex marriages for the purposes of Social Security. And as we see when we get into the numbers, to me, that might be, particularly if you're in your 60s, that might, or even beyond, that might be perhaps the most compelling reason, even more than the income tax reason, to protect your partner in the event that the stronger partner dies and their strong Social Security benefit dies with them. And what I am hoping is that that rule will change, and we'll get into the practical implications of what you should do about that now and why.